Stand clear.
100% Wild podcast.
So for all you listeners,
hello and welcome to
definitely not your favorite outdoor podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Jury Outdoors 100% Wild podcast. I hope you're standing clear because this is episode number 277, marching onward to that beautiful 300 mark. 300 episodes.
Unless there's some sort of accident.
Well, now you've gone and done it. Something's going to happen.
I knocked on wood.
Well, 300 episodes. That's a lot of shows. And some of our new friends that are joining us, that are hopping, that are discovering the show now, are going back and listening to the very first shows.
You weren't on them, so those are the good ones.
It's true. I was thinking of the Dwight Schrute meme where he's like, it's true.
Yeah. Well, so if you go back, there's a couple really good episodes in there. I mean, we had the Michael Waddell episode. Most of them are with Tim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the
Michael
first
Waddell was
60
awesome.
some are with Mark Kenyon.
Tim Wells was awesome. We had Jim Tomey on. That was with Kenyon though. I got a lot of crap over the Tomey one. We had Kenyon's audience in the beginning. Yeah, and there were the stick to hunting crowd. Little did they know, I don't care about that.
You also like the baseballs.
Yeah, I mean, we're baseball fans.
Sports ball.
Before we go too far, we have to thank our buddy, Chris C. Squared.
Yeah,
Captain Crazy Nuts sent us more insanely good nuts and fine snacks, as the label says. And this one was labeled just for Matt. Not for Tim, for Matt.
And I don't know why it was labeled for Matt. Maybe it was like, because there was other brittle in there, maybe it was a way to limit your intake.
No, I already tried all of the peanut brittle.
But
that
you didn't have your name on it.
But I also ate a lot of that one. So, again, it was really good. Captain Crazy's Nuts and Fine Snacks. And he doesn't sponsor, but he's smart. He keeps sending us food.
And he posted in the rack pack 25 pounds of snack sticks that he's working on.
Oh, yeah, okay, I did see that.
Yeah.
Are we getting that?
I don't know.
That would be fantastic.
Maybe after this episode. Maybe
Guilt
so.
him into sending us more food.
Right.
Hey, well, Friday we had a party.
Listen.
We
was
had
a
a good
hoedown.
party.
Yeah.
You were there for part of it.
I had to make an appearance.
We went up to the farm, the new farm that I bought last year. Everything's looking so nice thanks to Scott mostly.
Yeah, it looked like a golf course, guys.
Scott had COVID. This is the worst thing. I feel like such a jerk. And actually, you should feel like the jerk because this is your fault.
Okay. I'm curious how this is going to pan out here.
Okay. So here's the breakdown.
Okay.
Scott's fiance, he sends her to Vegas thinking, I'm a great fiance. Her friends are going to Vegas. Here's a ticket. Surprise, you're going to Vegas. She comes back from Vegas. She brings back COVID, unbeknownst to poor Scott. Scott at the farm all day the next day, and he tells me that night, hey, I found out Amber's got COVID. What should I do? I said, well, stay out of the office Friday just in case, work from home.
Yep.
So he finds out, Sunday he tells me that he was sick as a dog Saturday and all that stuff. And so we were waiting, hoping that by Friday he got a negative COVID test and he wasn't showing any symptoms and he could come up.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure almost all of us, if not all of us, have had COVID in this office. So on Friday morning, I send a group text to the fellas here at the studio.
Here we go.
Here's where you're a dick. So I was like, hey, look, I don't really care because here's where it boils down to.
Because you're a scientist also. You should remind people.
We shouldn't get into the politics side of it because I don't think that will fare well for anyone. But anyways, so Scott's done a ton of work at the farm, as we all know. He helps me in more ways than, I can't count the amount of ways that Scott helps accomplish all the daily tasks that I have to get done, whether it's at the farm or here at the studio. Key guy.
100%.
So I wanted Scott to be at the farm party that he helped me renovate that farmhouse and help make the property look beautiful and all that stuff.
But your desire does not impact his body chemistry.
Well, So
Or maybe it does.
We did the math in our heads that maybe by then, 5 days, if you look
Carry
at the
the one.
guidelines, he should be okay. Most everybody had COVID already. I'm pretty sure several have brought it into the studio, not naming names. I know one person on the dais here has brought it into the studio.
And
It wasn't me.
You can get it again, right?
And I know you can get it again. My point is, I wanted to say, hey, guys, what do we think? Can Scott come? Maybe wear, a face mask or something, whatever. Send a group text right out of the gate. Immediately, Tim said, no, I don't think it's a good idea. I think he should stay quarantined.
Also, because I don't like Scott a whole lot.
And I was surprised. I was
Really?
very surprised.
Really?
I was shocked. And so then I was like, okay, I get it. And, here's where I'm at on it. I don't care. I think he could come up. And then everybody's like, hey, same. But if one person's not comfortable, we shouldn't do it. You were the one person.
Was I?
I felt like that was kind of dickish.
Well, when you ask people their opinions and then they give them to you, you can't complain about what they say.
Well, regardless, he was not feeling the greatest that day. I called him that morning and we talked.
Why didn't you lead with that fact?
No, I called him after the fact.
No, in the story.
No, I wanted you to look bad. So I called him after the fact, and he had a head cold. He's over there. He's in the office now, by the way. And he had a head cold, still some symptoms, and it just kind of sucked. But he didn't sound the best either. But we ended up, we smoked, what was it, a pork shoulder, and we had smoked deer queso, and we had
Smoking cheese is next
burgers
level.
and brats, and Matt Arndt, as we alluded to on the podcast. Oh no, this was after the podcast. In the last week, we berated him for not recording the Tim Sylvia podcast.
We all remember that.
He made so many baked goods and loaded Jello shots and pudding shots and unbelievable the amount of work that Matt Arndt did. But anyways, we had a hell of a day at the farm.
Yeah,
we
we
shot skeet.
Mm-hmm.
Fished.
Yeah, we shot clays, we fished. There's some catfish in that pond.
Yep.
And shot bows.
Yep.
Didn't lose any arrows to my knowledge.
Cornhole. Terry came up.
Yep.
He sucked at it.
Brought the sauce kit, so we're shooting hockey pucks.
Yep.
No one got hurt.
Washers. Literally. And it was the most beautiful day. It was like high of low 80s, high 70s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and the humidity was low. And believe me, I would have preferred to stay 100%.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, believe me, I would have preferred Scott had been there, but you brought it back to yourself.
Well, also because I took crap for not staying the whole time.
Yeah,
I took crap on a number of different levels on that day.
But regardless, we had a blast. I feel bad that Scott wasn't there because of all the work he did, but he couldn't make it. So it goes. Felt bad. You had to leave early. Joe Tierney had to go, some of the guys from the studio. But ultimately, we had a hell of a good time, and some of us stayed up to about 3, 4 a.m., not naming names, Alan.
Looking at the stars.
Jake. Yeah, something like that. We set up, I had bought during Black Friday last year a 70-inch TV for the shop to proof footage, and I was thinking this is going to be where we're going to spend most of our time in the shop. Well, we finally just pulled that out of the box and we set a Nintendo Switch up. So
nice.
Mario Kart was rolling and we had beer pong
Perfect.
going. And it was just people. Those people weren't leaving. The people that stayed at that point, but everybody spent the night, and it was just a fun time.
It was so perfect. And Terry was watching me go do different things. He's like, "Tim, you're an animal. You don't sit down." I was like, "I don't have much time here. I'm trying to do everything."
All right, guys, let's shoot our bow. Okay, let's go fishing. Okay, guys, let's shoot.
Check. All right,
Shoot again.
I gotta get out of here.
All right, queso, check. Chip, check.
And I drove like a madman back to St. Louis.
Yeah.
But it was awesome. It was a great time.
Yep.
It was just nice just to relax a little bit.
Probably the last time, but we won't get into that.
Yeah. So as a little teaser for the real wild clip this week, it's really weird. It's cryptozoologically weird.
Cryptocurrency, or what do we?
Nope. But still crypto. Cryptozoologically weird. So
I
make
can't
sure you
read.
stay tuned for that. It's going to be a good one.
Well, now, Tim, because I never know this stuff leading into.
It's impossible to know.
So I'm really excited to see it. If it doesn't live up to it, it's just one more time you disappointed me.
Well, I'm sure you'll let people know. Well, this sucks. Can we stop the show and talk about this? But this video confounded
a lot of problems
me.
with you people.
And now you're going to hear about
That's
them.
right.
But we're going to solve some problems. people are thinking about their food plots this time of year and what to do, how to do it, when to do it. We've got one of our best food plotters on the horn, as they say.
One of the best DOD team food plotters.
Consistent
Mr.
killer.
Adam Anderson. What's up, buddy?
How's it going? Guys?
It's going good. You had to sit through that long intro, but
Hey, that's all right. I'm just jealous I wasn't there last weekend, man. That sounded like a great time. I seen all the pictures on social media, and yeah, it looked awesome.
yeah, we had a day. That's for sure. And one of those things, like we haven't had a Christmas party in forever. Just every time we go to have a Christmas party, there's like a flare up in St. Louis of COVID, and we can't. Literally, like the restaurants are shut down, and
Yeah, Christmas in July.
Yeah, so this is we did a very good makeup.
Big time.
Yeah, so we got our money's worth.
Lots of food.
So Adam, all right, here's the time of year, and I know that not only do you have a passion for this, but you actually have started kind of a land management side on the side where you do food plotting and probably timber stand improvement for people and all kinds of different things. So this is good to have you on and dive into it because I know you take it very seriously and you got all the right equipment. But here we are as we're filming it. It's August 2nd. What should people in say the Midwest, because I think that's usually the first kind of where people start, and then the Southeast is a little bit later. I'm not real sure about the Northeast, but what should we be preparing ourselves for right now? What should we be doing right now?
Well, first of all, I want to say thanks for the opportunity to be able to come on today. This is something I've been wanting to do with you guys for quite a while, so I appreciate this. But as of right now, here in the Midwest, obviously fall plots are going to be going in here really soon. Some people have already got them in. I know I have a couple buddies here that have already planted their turnips and got everything in, Me personally, I don't like to plant my green plots, my fall plots, if you will, until usually around the middle of August. Right now I've got everything already fertilized, everything sprayed, it's ready to rock and roll. I'm just going to wait until I see a rain coming, in the forecast, and then go in there and work up everything and go ahead and plant. Some people seems like they might plant just a little bit early, and I don't know if there's really a right or wrong to that. But it just seems from my experience, it seems to work a little bit better if you plant just a little bit later in August.
We seem to get some of just the really brutal heat during this time of year. And to me, that's always the scary thing about planting too early.
Right. Yeah. Because once those seeds germinate, then you might have 10, 14 days, 20 days of no rain. Then everything's just going to burn up,
Like
so if you can time it right, it can work out really well. But obviously it can kind of screw you in the end too, because if you wait till the middle of August, and then it just stops raining, seems like that first part of August we get some pretty good and decent rains. There's 2 or 3 windows there, it seems like, and then once it quits raining, it just stops sometimes, but it's just hard to say. Mother Nature can be brutal.
I was talking to Aaron Bennett about it this morning because he was saying we have a good front pushing through here in the St. Louis area today or tomorrow and the next day. And he's like, man, I think I'm going to try to plant some of my plots and get them in. And I'm like, yeah, but have you looked at the 2-week forecast, in DeerCast, it looks brutal. And not only dry, but hot, super
really
hot.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, but you know how it goes. We might hit 4 pop-up showers, little thunderstorms between now and then that aren't forecasted. And that's kind of like the system moving in tomorrow. That's kind of where same scenario. And he's right, but something about that, I feel like every year, like you said, you see a early August good rain event, and then it's like that middle part of the month is just nothing happening. And like last year, we planted Marthasville, we planted like 3 different times. We just, rain was supposed to be coming. We'd plant it, and maybe a little bit came and germinated it, and then nothing for weeks, and it would die out. And I think that's the biggest concern as you go into it. And I know in talking with Mark and Terry this morning, they were both like, no, not planting anything. It's too early. I think it's going to be super dry. Which Mark, he's not had hardly any rain. All that rain that we got, the flooding and all that stuff, he missed all that stuff. So I know they're super duper dry up there.
Yep. So yeah, we've been, all my grain, I farm some too, but all my corn and beans, and obviously I'll leave several acres, standing for deer as well. But everything's doing really well. We've been blessed here. Seemed like the whole month of July, we were getting a half inch to an inch every 10 days or so, which was a huge blessing. The years past, it seems like it's always split around us, and this year it's been perfect, for where I'm at here. So
that's the tough thing about August rains is that you may get a pop-up shower, but a lot of times they can be really severe to the point where they're just like they could be more damaging than they are doing good because the rain just hits so quickly and so hard.
Oh, gully washer.
Yeah, that's right.
It doesn't ever seem like we can have like the perfect rain. Like it's either going to rain a tenth or it's going to rain 3 or 4 inches. It seems like,
and
like
a tenth,
we never can get just everything perfect.
A tenth is brutal. Like if it germinates, it's enough to germinate it. But then if you don't get anything coming in the next few weeks after that, it's
a pump fake.
Yeah, it'll kill it. Everything will die. Germinate and then die.
Mother Nature pump fake. Yep. What about seed coats, Adam? Do you do anything with seed coats to extend the viability of your seeds?
So I personally don't. I know several guys on the team and several of my buddies that do. I don't. I always just use the mossy oak biologic the way it comes and go that route. But obviously, like on my beans and my corn, everything's coated. there. Yeah. But green plots, I've never used the seed coating at all.
We use that Delta Ag seed coat, and it's something Mark and Terry showed me or taught me, and we weren't using it the first few years, and it does make a huge difference when you're talking about planting in August like this. If you think, hey, we're supposed to get a rain, and then all of a sudden you don't, it saves your butt. I mean, it'll give you 30, 45 days easily waiting for that rain. Now if you get rain and it germinates, you're done.
Yeah.
It is what it is. You're off to the races.
The seed coat's no longer effective at that point. But and that's something that I only recently learned about seed coats from you guys, from Mark. And from what I understand, there's graphite powder in it, so it makes it unpalatable to birds and other things that would want to eat the seed. But somehow it also kind of creates like a shell, like a water membrane around it. Not a water membrane, but a membrane to kind of keep the water in the seed and to keep it from drying out.
Yeah, basically. I mean, I have no idea.
That sounds good.
Yeah, it sounds like that's more detailed.
Sounded good, Tim. I like that.
Yeah.
All I know is your hands get really black when you're putting it in.
Yeah. They don't suggest inhaling that stuff. It's not good for the old lungs. So in terms of what kind of plots you're planting, what species are you planting? Are you doing any architecture around your bow stands versus rifle stands? Like, what's your strategy there?
Yep. So I have several clover fields, and I've sold a few of my farms the last couple of years, with the prices and everything. Like I've been flipping farms, I've been buying a few farms and selling a few, and so I'm kind of actually coming into this year. I guess really everything's going to be fairly new. I've got one farm that, I had last year and everything else is new, so I'm really, this is kind of a learning year for me just because I'm kind of starting all over again. But I do have some existing clover fields, that I came in back in March, late February, first part of March, and frost-seeded clover. They come up really well. So I love clover fields. Clover can be super effective. And then I plant a lot of mossy oak biologic deer radishes. Those deer radishes are probably my favorite, bulb food source, I guess, whether it be a radish or a turnip or whatever. But those deer radishes I've had really good luck with those. I do a lot of turnips and stuff for late season, the winter bulb sugar beets. I do some last bite, it's got the oats and, the clover and, all that, the wheat and stuff in it, I've had really good luck with that. And obviously, like I said earlier, I leave a lot of grain too. I really depend on the grain to get the deer through the winter. I plant a lot of corn and leave a lot of standing beans, for the deer for come late season, try to get them through springtime. But yeah, I mean, I always try to plant my green fields, close to the blinds. I hunt out of box blinds a lot. I've had really good luck with it. Some people bash me on social media, or whatever. They just don't agree with box blinds. But for me, man, I've been using box blinds for 5 or 6 years now, and they've become so effective. I mean, 90% of my sets now are out of box blinds. Just because you can put that blind wherever the heck you want it, like, because very few times there's the perfect tree, where that blind, you can pick it up with your tractor and move it, for the right wind, or, if the deer are coming in from one side of the field and you want to move just a little bit closer to them, they can be so effective doing that. But like I said, where I was going with that is normally I'll try to plant my green food sources in and around, the box blinds, just because a lot of times the deer will come out of the bedrooms, they'll go to that green first, and then they'll kind of spread out from there and go to the grain, if that makes sense. So.
Gotcha. So are you hunting box blinds even in early season? And if so, like, how do you manage the heat that builds up inside those things?
Yeah. So if you guys remember, been 2 years ago, I killed a buck I called Breakdown. He was a really good, Missouri buck. I think he was like 167, somewhere right in there. But I actually hunted that deer for 7 nights straight, and it was 80 degrees every night, and the crazy thing was I was in a muddy bowl at the time, and I remember getting in that blind, and it was hot. Like, immediately you'd climb in there, and the wind was wrong. Like, I shouldn't even been hunting this deer like at this time, but it was kind of one of those deals. I've had such good luck with those box blinds. As long as you keep the windows shut up, you nose jam everything, you scent crush everything, you can be really effective doing that. So we're sitting in that box blind, and it's like, I swear it's 180 degrees in there. It was brutal. We've done that for 7 nights straight, and finally on the 7th night, I killed them. But we've seen them, I think, five times out of the 7 nights, and they can be brutal, but I've got a little electric battery powered fan that I'll take with me, and just turn that thing on and just do everything you can just to have a little bit of air circulation, but they can be pretty rough.
I sent Scott a link a couple of weeks ago, this product that Jeff Foxworthy, you see it you get ads for it on social media. And it's a cooler. It's the redneck cooler. You saw like Mark and a bunch of people have made these homemade versions. Sure. Well, this is an actual manufactured version. And I told Scott, I was like, we're getting that sucker this year, because we got a blind or a spot we call Hot Corner, and it's where I actually killed my late season deer. But in the early season, it's probably better. It's an early season and late season spot. And in the early season, I mean, there's a lot of deer coming out to the beans that the farmer has there, but it's just the sun beats down on it. It sucks, honestly. I mean, it's every bit of 120 degrees in that blind, and it makes you not want to go. But my pictures, trail cam pictures last year, there's several times in the early season where we should have hunted it, and you just don't want to be inside it. Anytime we went in there, we're just like, holy, even when we got to November, if we hit a kind of a warm day and that evening sun hitting it just hot. Yeah. And we hunted it like you on the wrong wind, or kind of a questionable wind. Well, you got to keep all the windows shut. So this year I was like, we're not messing around, man. We're going to buy one of those things and take it in there and keep it in there or something. I don't know. We'd have to haul the ice in, I guess, but it's, it's a cooler, so it's still pretty bulky, but it's like fairly quiet, and it's made for, that type of thing.
Yeah. Could be a lifesaver for you.
Definitely make you want to go hunt the spot a little bit more.
I'm curious, because I don't get to hunt out of box blinds much at all. When you, say you've got a deer maybe at 20 yards in front of you, and then you guys, I'm assuming you're keeping the windows closed until it's time to shoot. How much time do you think you have, especially if the wind is wrong, how much time do you have between when you open the window and the scent starts dispersing out of that hot box and towards the...
I'll let you go, Adam.
Not very long. Yeah. I'd say, I don't even know, 30 seconds tops. I mean, it's kind of one of those deals. You want to be open. It also depends on how hard the wind's blowing, and all that. But there's a lot of different things that would factor into that. But I know for me, whenever I shot Breakdown that night, I was self-filming. It was the first night that I'd been self-filming, because it was actually, the wind was, literally he was blowing right to his bedroom. Like I said, we'd seen him 5 nights out of 7 nights, and he'd come out of the same spot every night, and I thought that there was maybe a good chance that we'd see him, that I'd see him that night. So I told my buddy JT, I said, hey, I'm just going to go self-film tonight, because the wind was bad of all bads. Just to try to cut down the scent literally in half. I'm going to go self-film. I'm going to see if I can get it done, and sure enough, that deer walks out, you know, is really close to dark. He comes over, works a scrape, and he's straight downwind. I mean, like, he's right there. He's working a scrape, and he comes out into the standing beans. And I remember he got broadside, and I reached up, opened up that window real quick. Like, you got to be pretty fast with it, you know, and it's kind of hard to do that because, you know, I hate being rushed whenever the opportunity presents itself, you know, for one, but then trying to sell film, like there was so many things going on there, you know. But I made the shot, which I was really happy with that. So
it's that moment where you have to put the window down. People can give you crap all they want about hunting in a box blind, but it's not a guarantee. And that window, that part there alone is the one part that will make or break you. And,
sure.
You know, it's one of those deals where you mentioned the wind and wind speed. That is a neat part of the new DeerCast features and DeerCast maps, that wind direction and seeing what it's doing in the actual cone, the wind cone based on the speed. And the faster you could see it and the animation on the map, how fast it's blowing depending on what the wind speed is.
Yeah, very intentional about that. I mean,
it gives you, you know, the slower the speeds, the more time you have. But, you know, if you think about you're inside that blind sweating and maybe you got ozone running in it, that helps certainly, you know, as you open the window. But as soon as you open it, it's more or less puking out
like
whatever's inside
room.
there. Yeah. You know, think about there's a small room that's a 5x5 room, and if there's a smell of any kind in that room, if you open the door, you're going to smell that smell, whatever it is. So that's generally speaking the same principle.
Ooh, that smell.
So I mean, I used to open the window sooner because I hate the moment of open, put your release aid on, range release aid, shoot. That's very tense.
It's a lot, yeah.
But if the earlier you open it, the more chances you have of getting busted. So if you're hunting it on the wrong wind, especially. So, I mean, there's times where we might be hunting it on a great wind and we leave the front window open or something, you know, because it is hot or whatever the case may be. But in general, we hunt, even on the right winds, we usually hunt with them closed just because what if a doe gets downwind or what if, you know, if you're defeating the purpose if the windows are open. I know, you know, Mark and those guys, I've seen them where they hunt with the windows open on the right winds. But in general, if they're closed, that moment you want to just wait until the very end to hurry up, open, get all your stuff together and shoot. And a lot can go wrong in a few seconds. The other part about it that you really got to watch out is the clearance. Just making sure you clear the window, the bottom of the windowsill.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's happened to me a couple times.
I remember.
It can be a challenge for sure. I mean, like I said, people, you know, a lot of people don't like box blinds and all that, but they definitely have their advantages and disadvantages, but more advantages than disadvantages. You know, disadvantages.
Certainly on getting in on a mature whitetail, getting in close on them and fooling their nose. The disadvantage of not having that free, you know, not really knowing your surroundings as well behind you, or not having your ability to swing around as easily. I got tied, you know, my tact cam got tied up in, you know, I had it on a bow and I got tied up in the window. I mean, there's things that can go wrong.
Yeah.
But in general, I've killed a lot more, or I've had a lot more success, especially on that lease in Ellsbury. Way more success once we put that box blind up there, because we were on the top of a ridge and we were always hunting it for evening hunts, you know, afternoon hunts. Yeah. And as your thermals dropped down the ridge, I never could figure out. It's like, man, we got a good wind, but it was the thermals dropping down.
Yeah.
And right when all the deer started moving in the last 30 or 45 minutes is when the thermals start dropping down, and we just weren't having a ton of luck seeing mature deer. And once we put the box blind up in that spot, because I was in a tree in the middle of a fence line there, once we put the box blind up, totally changed the way that farm hunted, and it made that food plot an absolute killer because of it.
Yeah, Adam, you made that point earlier. There's just not always a tree where you want to hunt, and that's the nice thing that box blinds on a little platform will do for you.
That's the advice, though, I would give. Like, I'd put it on something where you can move it around. It makes it a lot. We started putting them on skids or these Keen outdoor trailers, which that's obviously a much more expensive option, but a cheap option is putting it on skids.
Sure.
And hooking to it and dragging it wherever you need to drag it, and
Yep.
that's a game
Even
changer.
even if it's just 5 or 10 feet, 20 feet, whatever, like
Yeah.
just a little bit of just moving it just a little bit can make such a big difference.
Yeah.
You know.
Yep, for sure.
Adam, so let's say maybe some folks are a couple weeks out from planting. Should they be doing some soil testing if they haven't done that? Should they be, checking for pH and maybe hitting some lime if they need to do that? What kind of like soil prep things would you suggest right now?
Yeah, I would definitely, if you haven't done soil tests, I would definitely do that as quick as possible, unless it's too late where you're at. With the input cost of everything right now between the chemical, the fertilizer, the seed, everything's just literally quadrupled this year. I don't know. It's scary, so, doing a simple soil test, just going out there and doing one of those, taking it to your local co-op or MFA or whatever, and having them send it in, it can actually save you a lot of money because it'll tell you, what fertilizer you need instead of just going out and taking a wild guess and putting on 400 pounds per acre or whatever, you might only need to apply 100 pounds per acre, where in the long term, it could save you a lot of money. So
Biologic has that ability too, where you can send it into Biologic, go to their website, plantbiologic.com, and they got soil tests that you can print out, and then you fill it out, and it might go to the local university extension, Mississippi State, or I don't recall, but we get our results back really, really quick through them. Yep.
I think a couple of years ago, I sent them into Biologic, and that's how I did it that year. So.
Yep. When you say quick, is that like a couple weeks?
No, I feel like within a week we had them back.
Huh, okay.
Now, I don't know. I gave Bobby a heads up that they were going in, but so I don't know if that played into it or not, but it was quick. We got them back very quickly.
Okay.
Yep.
So people could still have some time to get that done.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, soil tests, definitely recommend them, though, because like I said, the input cost this year, everything's just crazy, fertilizer and all that.
Yeah, we have a lot of smaller food plots, so we're trying that, which we tried it last year, that plot boost, and we're utilizing that plot boost, which is a spray. You spray it on, and that seems to, you can lime or it's like a fertilizer. They have two different versions of it, I think, but
right. Yep.
We saw some really good results out of it last year, so we're giving it a shot again this year.
Yeah,
and
that's
they're
awesome.
Not a partner or affiliation. It's something that I think Aaron Bennett recommended it to me, and it worked pretty good.
Good deal.
One of the things I've got to figure out is, so I've got a new location for a timber plot that I want to put in the next week or so. But my problem is with the timber plot is always, you start hitting October and into November, you get all the leaves that drop off the trees and they just want to kill. That's the other design of a leaf, is to fall down and kill out everything that's beneath it to keep the, all the soil there open for that particular tree. So I've got to think through how I'm going to get in there and not cause too much disturbance and clear out all those leaves once that happens.
Sounds
that starts
like you're
happening.
going to be going in with a rake.
Probably, yeah, raking someone like a yard that's way back in the woods.
Yeah, nose jam the heck out of your boots and
yeah.
Maybe take like an electric leaf blower or something too. That might work. Take a four-wheeler back there and let the four-wheeler just keep your four-wheeler running, and then just go around, just try to blow them all out of there as quick as possible and get out of there,
Can you take a four-wheeler to that property? It's all suburbia stuff.
Well, it's just the timber is too thick to get anything with
even a four-wheeler
wheels. Yeah, it's thick and it's like it's on a crazy angle.
Will you get? Is your food plot going to be on an angle?
Parts of it.
Will you get anything to grow? Legitimate question. Will anything grow on it?
Already there. So the landowners did some TSI years ago, and they sold off some timber. So there's kind of an open spot. It's got a really lush. I don't know what's growing there right now, but it's lush vegetation. It's about 3 or 4 inches deep, and so it's getting enough sunlight to support vegetation. It's just a matter of going in there, clearing that out, and liming it, because I know the soil is just super acidic. And then planting and hoping we don't get a rain that just washes everything down the hill.
Would you be able to go in and this time of year and just trim? Would they allow you to trim a couple? How big of trees are you talking here? Like you said, so thick.
There's a lot of it's a mixture of saplings and like some ironwood, and then some larger, trees.
Could you trim the sapling path? I mean,
man, it would just.
And then that way you have the access, not only your access in, but the ability to bring in a 4-wheeler later on to once or twice.
Yeah, I'd have to think through. I'd have to do some like bench cutting of the hill to make something level enough to get a 4-wheeler back in there. Just
it's that steep.
The angle is so crazy.
No way. Is a food plot going to grow in that steep?
It's in the back of a holler. So just like getting there is really difficult.
Gotcha.
There's some level spots in there, but it's a little wavy.
Gotcha.
So, but I saw a deer running through there as I was hanging a stand last week. So they're there.
Tim, seeing a deer is half the battle.
That's right. G.I. Joe. That's me. Not so much.
I don't know. I feel like that's a stretch to call yourself G.I. Joe because you go in there and hunt on the hillside.
He's a cartoon, isn't he? So Adam, as far as so I know you said you're hunting a lot of new farms this year. Do you have like cameras out? Do you have any prospects going?
Yeah, I do have a couple of Reconic cell cameras out right now. And honestly, I'm getting some, like my best pictures, I guess, would be right here behind my house. I only have 12 acres that I live on. It's crazy. I've got farms scattered all over, and I live on 12 acres and I'm getting my biggest deer literally right behind my house, 250 yards behind my house. But I do have some good, a little bit better than average Missouri deer. I don't have anything crazy yet. I'm just hoping maybe, in August sometime, maybe something will, move in, or once they lose their velvet, something will show up. But I'm kind of going the route with, instead of buying a bigger farm, I've been, trying to buy some satellite farms, just trying to buy more farms, just to get it, get into the different deer herds and that kind of thing. So I sold my bigger farm, but yeah, nothing crazy big yet. I'm still checking the cell cams every morning. So
that's part of the fun of it.
Oh, it is.
Unless you never have a deer that's big. That's not so fun.
Not so fun, huh?
Yeah. It's a lot of work. You do everything. You do all the food plots and spend all the money doing everything, and then you don't have a deer, that really gets you excited. It can be kind of discouraging at times, but but in the end, you just kind of, hope and pray that something shows up, and you never know. Anything could show at any time. So
now, what about early season doe management? Will you take a few does there at the outset? Yeah. I usually try to kill. Oh, I don't know. I don't shoot near as many as Terry and Mark and them, but they're hunting farms, I think, where they've been managing them for, more than a year, like they have long term there. For me, like I said, I'm just kind of buying these little farms, and I don't really plan on, it kind of sounds bad, but I don't really plan on keeping them for very long, so if I do shoot a couple of does, to fill the freezer, awesome. But if I don't, then it's really not that big of a deal to me, Sure. I don't know if I should look at it like that or not, but that's just the way,
I always look at it like, the places, whether it's the 2 leases I'm hunting or even the farm that I had bought last year, they're all, relatively smaller farms. And I don't want to go, if I'm going in to hunt, I think about it like this. If I look at DeerCast, it says great, and I'm going in to hunt based on the amount of time that I have, I usually don't want to go in and hunt to try to kill a doe, because the limited amount of time I'm trying to kill a buck typically. Mm-hmm. And even then, it's rare. Like, it takes me all season to do that on just going on great days. You know what I mean? So like, the farms are none set up to, process the deer very easily, or hang it up and wash it out, or, is there a cooler nearby, or is there somewhere I can take it to get processed nearby? And it, like, all those things always factor in for me on shooting does early season. We always talk about, hey, we need like one farm or original lease, like for sure we need to kill some does on it. But it's more of, it's the farm that's farthest away from my house. Like, it's all these items that go into it that make me every year say I'm gonna, and every year I don't end up, like, just being a realist. That's the reason I usually don't do that. Now, if we were up there during gun season and we have a chance to pop a doe after we shot a buck or something like that, we got the tags, then it makes sense, because you're already going through all the motions. Yeah. But I
For
struggled to want to. Now, if I go up to Dad's and he's like, hey, need you to kill a couple does early, I have no problem. It's not that I have a problem shooting the does because he's set up for it. He's got a walk-in cooler. We can spray it out right there. Like, it's so much easier. And you're right there on the property. You know what I mean? So you're much different. I understand. Like, you don't have no problem shooting a doe. If one walks by, you'll shoot it. You process it. You'll sit up till 3 a.m. and get back to your house. Like, you have no problem doing any of that.
Sometimes I hesitate, though, because I'm thinking, especially if it gets down to that last light period. If it's early, if I go out for an afternoon sit and it's early and I feel like the field can reset after the shot, then I might take the shot. But I don't like having a bloody arrow there. I don't like having the nocturnal glowing right in front of me if I still have an unfilled buck tag. So it's definitely part of my calculus too, that I really consider whether or not to shoot a doe. It just depends on the time of the season.
Usually how many? 2 or 3 does a year typically?
4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that would be rare. I mean, I every year I buy like 6 archery tags. I don't know why I do it. They're so cheap in Missouri for a resident, but
yeah, $7.
But I never end up filling them. Maybe one max, but that's rare. I don't know. It always comes down to the decision in the moment of truth. It's like, I should. Like now, sometimes if a doe comes in and she's winded us, you know, and she's stomping,
go.
Then we've done it where we try to make that call and shoot her, but then we've jacked around long enough and it's, you know, like I wanted to shoot her, but I waited too long to make the decision. Like that happens to me at least a couple times a year, but I probably need to do a better job, honestly.
It's hard because you don't know if the big buck is maybe 45 yards away, just out of sight, and he's about to walk in and you're about to let one fly on a doe, and you always wonder what if.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it just depends also like what you're getting on cameras, you know, like if there's been a buck there, you know, like the night before, a couple of nights before, you know, where if you're sitting on a food plot and you've not had a picture of a mature deer that you want to shoot for 2 weeks, you know, it's like, well, I'll shoot some does, you know, that's not an issue.
Yeah. I do really like shooting does early on because it kind of works the cobwebs out of my shooting process, and just kind of, it's so like every year the first deer I come to full draw on, it seems so surreal to have a deer in the pin, because you've been looking at a target all summer as you've been doing your practice shooting, and now you've got a real deer standing behind your pin, and it's just like, this is what it all, you know, I've been waiting for this the whole year, now it's finally here. And
Dad always says the same thing. He's always like, just to knock the cobwebs off, you need to go kill a doe and you get, you know, process the meat, you get it, you know, fill the freezer early, and then you don't have to worry about it. And I always say, yeah, this is the year.
Makes sense.
But I always struggled. This year I probably need to, because last year I didn't kill squat with my bow because I didn't have anything within bow range, any bucks within bow range. That's, I guess, the negative side of it. You know, if you're waiting for just a buck that excites you to come into bow range, sometimes that doesn't happen, no matter how many days you go afield.
Right.
Yeah, it might be several months. You know, it's just hard to say.
Yeah.
So
don't look a gift deer in the mouth.
But I guess I just need to work the cobwebs out like 40 or 50 times every year, just because I'm a mess. It don't matter if it's a doe or a buck or whatever. It just seems like, you know, it's crazy. But I get excited.
Pick a mature doe then, because there's a much more body cavity to hit there.
Right.
In case you're getting so excited, you make a little bit of an errant shot.
Right.
But it's fun. Like I agree with you, Adam, that I get the jitters shooting a doe just as much as I do shooting a buck. It's just something about, I'm going to take this animal's life potentially, and it just kind of puts you into a different mode almost.
Sure. Yep.
So,
Well, speaking of animals and weird stuff happening.
Yes.
Tell
me more, Tim.
So you guys got to see this. Ben here in our studio. So this is the Real Wild Clip setup. Ben in our studio was with his dad, and they were down near DeSoto, Missouri, I think, somewhere around that area, Missouri.
Boot Hill? Is that what they call that?
I don't think so. Not quite that far south.
And Alan's
it's still
saying no.
Still Jefferson County-ish.
Okay.
So he and his dad were out, I think, in his dad's backyard, and they took video of an animal that absolutely confounded me when I saw it.
Now I have to see this, Tim. All right, roll that beautiful bean footage.
I don't know what this is.
All right, so it looks like A rabbit, somewhat like a rabbit.
Kinda. It's standing on all fours upright, unlike a rabbit.
It has no tail.
It's got like a weird dark fur area around its butt with a white trim. It's like someone put a stocking cap on its butt.
It almost looks like it's armadillo's backside.
Yeah, like a shell almost.
Yeah.
And it's galloping away.
Yeah, it's not running like a rabbit.
It's not hopping at all. And, Ben and his dad are they're hunters. They're outdoorsmen.
Yeah.
They've seen rabbits before. And they were legitimately and for good reason, they were confounded by this thing. They're like, what?
Kind of running like a dog.
It's galloping, and then it's like picking its legs along.
Yeah. That is the craziest looking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, in DeSoto, Missouri.
I've never seen anything like that.
Apparently, they've never seen anything like that either. You hear Ben's dad say, "I've never seen anything like that."
That's the weirdest.
I'm so glad they
What
took
the
this
hell is it?
footage.
This is one of these deals where if you didn't film it, nobody would believe you. I say that like every week on the Real Wild Clip of the Week, but this is crazy.
It's the biggest. It's the biggest proof that people say that Bigfoot doesn't exist because everyone's got phones and we just don't
100%.
see any footage of it. So,
Adam, have you ever seen something like this?
No, I have not. I've never seen nothing like that. I have no idea what the heck that thing is.
is it making you question reality right now?
Yeah. Like Matt said, if you don't have the video, nobody's gonna ever believe you. So I don't know what that is.
Not a jackalope.
So if you're listening to this show, go to DeerCast and watch this episode. I don't know how far we in. I can't give you a time code, but go to DeerCast, or you can watch on YouTube also, so you can see the video. But come back next week and we will do some research and we will have some kind of answer for you.
Oh, that's a hell of a tease.
Dig deep into our zoological background here.
That's what they call a deep tease, Tim.
The old DT.
I don't think so, Tim.
No?
No.
We tried.
So.
You get what you paid for, folks.
This is one of those things where you're saying DT and your wife's going to say, like, don't say that.
That's a thing.
Yes,
You don't know what that means.
Yeah. So
Wouldn't be the first time.
your naivety.
That's my name.
All right.
So that was real wild.
That was real wild. I've never seen that before.
Hopefully next week we can solve the mystery of the weird.
I would like
rabbit
for the
critter.
Rack Packers to. We need to post that reel into the Rack Pack, and I'd like for the Rack Packers to tell us what the hell that is.
Okay.
I think they're up to it. We got at least 1,000
Let's
people.
do it,
right
Rack
now.
Packers.
How many members do we got? We got close to
almost
1,000.
1,000.
Where
Yeah,
are we
we're
at?
really put like 980 something. We're
Alan, do the
pushing
research.
1,000. Let's get the
You're
boys in
Jamie.
the truck on that.
All right. Well, let's get on to the question of the day, Tim. How about
Let's
it?
do it.
All right. The question of the day is proudly brought to you by Blocker Outdoors. Stay comfortable and concealed this deer season in Mossy Oak's new Terra Outland pattern. Found exclusively on Blocker Outdoors, but also ScentLock.
Exclusively. Also,
I was looking ahead as I was reading. I was like, well, it's
yeah, not really.
on both those products.
So, anything with scent blocker or
Blocker Outdoors, Tim.
Blocker Outdoors. I cannot get over that. I wore scent blocker way back in the day.
So did we for like a decade.
Man, it's old habits die hard.
Yeah. All right, let's get into the question.
Hey, Matt. Hey, Tim.
Oh, hi, Billy.
Love the podcast.
thank
Definitely
you.
not my favorite outdoor podcast, but I do listen every
boy.
week.
He's a listener.
I live
That's
in
a listener.
Arkansas, and we don't just have an abundant deer population. So my question is, when using a decoy during the rut, do you think a doe decoy or a buck decoy is best to try to attract a big buck in? Thank you, and keep up the good work.
Great question. And if our other rack packers or listeners want to leave us a question of the day, all that you got to do is hit the link that's in the show notes and record your quick question for us. And if you hear your question used on the show, contact me through the Rack Pack and we'll send you a podcast hat.
Boom. All right, Adam, what do you think here? He's in Arkansas, not a huge deer population. Wants to know in the rut if he goes with a doe or a buck decoy to bring a big buck in.
Well, it's kind of depends on the deer that you're hunting, because some bucks are really sociable with other deer. Like they want to hang out with other deer. They want to, they're more aggressive. So I guess my best advice would be to, if you've seen the deer in the past, like if you watch them in the summer, like if he's normally by himself or instead of like with a bachelor group of bucks or whatever, I'd say maybe go with the doe decoy, just because he's probably not going to be very aggressive. The chances are anyways, I'm not 100% sure, but if you've got a buck that you notice maybe he came out into a food plot or on a, out into a field edge or whatever, sometime just, recently before you're actually hunting him, and he's running other deer off the field, or pushing other bucks around, then a buck decoy could be really effective. It just kind of depends on the situation, I guess, I see, for me early, like late October, in the Midwest, like late October, the first week of November, I think a buck can be really effective as far as like a buck decoy. And then the closer, like the more we get into the rut, it seems like a doe decoy would be better, just because when the bucks are really, searching for those does, that's what I would do,
I kind of think it also depends just in general if he's wanting to use a decoy, what his setup is in. If he's in the timber, probably not. I probably wouldn't use it. They tend to get scared and spooked, if they come out of nowhere and see
it's too close by the time they see visual
now,
contact.
if they have a long way to see, out in a field and they can see it from a long way, I've seen so many video clips of deer just coming from hundreds of yards directly to the decoy, posturing, sidestepping their way in, and it's very, very effective. But I think that's one other element to pay attention to.
Yep.
I've never used, I don't think I've ever used a deer decoy because one of the things that spooks me is just the scent profile. It's like you're leaving something else out there that could potentially have human scent on it, and I have a hard time getting deer close enough to me in the first place.
I would agree with you. I mean, Scott and I have used it several times. We don't have problems with younger deer or does. Sure. We just haven't had much luck with mature bucks. But man, watching Dad uses it a lot. Like it doesn't even, not even like the time of year that you should use it, like all year. I noticed he was using it last year. I mean, there's guys that just have great success with it. Mark will use it kind of right there in the certain period that Adam's talking about, but Dad's used it a lot throughout the season with a lot of success, but he's got a regimen that he goes through and spraying it down with, HS spray to make sure it's got no scent on it, and watching how they handle it, and then using, Scott, what's the stuff that we put on its Evercalm? Putting Evercalm on like the nose of the deer or maybe the hawks or whatever. And it's a certain kind of Evercalm because they have different smells or whatever. And there's like a kind of a way that he goes about it. Yeah. But he's had a lot of success with deer not getting spooked. So that's probably one podcast we should just like dive into.
I'd be fascinated. Yeah.
And something else, like I've noticed too, like if I know he said he didn't have a really high deer number, but for some areas, who have more deer than others, a buck decoy can kind of work against you in a way because you put a buck decoy out and most times than not, you're going to have does in the field first. Well, what happens whenever those does see that buck decoy, a lot of times they'll actually come out and they'll start stomping, maybe blow. They'll come up to it, and then freak out and the field clears, and they'll stand in the timber and just sit there and blow or whatever, Where with a doe decoy, they don't seem to do that near as bad. They kind of come out, they're a little bit more relaxed. That's just what I've noticed, through the years. But I don't really hunt with a decoy like a ton. I do use them for about a week to 10 days or so out of the year. But I just don't I hate whenever I'm hunting a particular deer and I'll have a buck decoy out and then at 3:00 in the afternoon, I've got does coming out stomping, and it's like, it seems like it's working against me. So,
another item on that, I know now this would be more of a luxury of whether you could do this or not. But if you had, say, an older mount, shoulder mount or something that you had that's maybe seen its better days and you want to construct a way to put that on as the head for the decoy, those reel mounts on a decoy, that seems to be like a hell of a way to pull a real deer in as well.
Yeah.
So just another tip. But man, they can be an absolute pain in the butt to whether you're carrying it in or however you're bringing it in there and getting it out. Like, it's one thing to get in there early enough to set it up and make sure it's standing and you got it the way you want it and hidden and sprayed down and all that BS that goes along with it. But then you got to remember, once the hunt's over, you still got to go jack with that thing and get it back out of there. And that sways my opinion on how much I use it, honestly. Like the success rate and the hassle.
Yeah.
Sways my opinion on how much I'll use it.
Same here.
It's a lot more work involved for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for something that could work against you.
100%.
So, just not good enough.
All right.
Okay, the wildlife word. It's brought to you by Mossy Oak Properties. Find your favorite place with a local Mossy Oak land specialist. Slipperfoot is a condition where a deer's hooves are elongated like a slipper. Which one of these is not thought to lead to this condition? Is it A, surviving a systemic disease like EHD, B, eating too many carbs too quickly, C, a selenium deficiency, or D, winning a buy one get one free coupon at the Shoe Carnival Spin to Win?
Adam, you get to go first. I think he's.
Oh my!
Were you listening?
I don't even know if I want to act like I know what I'm talking about here, but
which one of these is not thought to lead to this condition?
well, I'd say the last one, obviously.
That's right. He gave it to you.
Shoe Carnival gave it away.
Why don't you just give him the answer?
Yeah, I like Adam. What can I say?
Yeah.
I mean, EHD is the one I've heard of a lot. I've not heard of the too many carbs too quickly. I thought that could have been a BS one.
Sounds like Thanksgiving dinner for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You get long feet after that.
I get slipper foot. But yes, and so that's where you have to be careful with supplemental feeding. A deer can go overboard, and they think that eating too many carbs too quickly, not being able to digest that properly, could lead to slipper foot, along with selenium deficiencies.
I mean, I have never heard of that as it pertains to supplemental feeding.
Yeah.
I've never heard of slipper foot in general, though. So today's
I'm glad to have never seen it in the wild. I would hate to kill a deer that has weird long hooves.
I've definitely seen videos like from the team members and stuff. It's EHD. It's all been towards EHD bucks or does or like I've definitely seen that where the hooves are just like a weird long shape.
Yeah.
But almost like they needed to trim their toenails kind of thing.
Yeah. Or the cases where a deer their hoof has sloughed off.
Sloughed.
Nasty. We just made your lives better, everybody. You're welcome.
I don't know about that.
David Baker seems to think so.
Oh, let's hear the shout out today, Tim.
Hey.
Well,
okay.
Are you going to read it?
Shout outs are normally something you do.
No, they're not. I read
That's
the Rack
right.
Pack. I mean,
my first day
how
on the
many
job.
episodes have you been on with me?
Maybe too many now.
I do the least.
David Baker.
I just sit on the dais here and I spew hot takes, Tim.
Oh, okay. David Baker says, "You guys are children in men's bodies.
Truth.
Don't change a thing. So enjoy the podcast and always get a great laugh and occasionally learn something.
Occasionally, keyword.
Keep up the great work and good luck to all the juries in the upcoming season."
Did we just become best friends? Yep.
David Baker.
Thanks, David.
Thanks, man.
If you want to have your comment read on the podcast, all you got to do is go to your podcast place and leave a comment that says, "Hey, this is a 5-star type of show, and they're 5-star type of guys."
Whoa, I like it.
Just came up with that one off the top of my head, Timmy.
Jeez. That's our new tagline. 5-star kind of guys. The long cut's always the best cut.
Yeah. Adam, were you a big South Park guy? Probably not a TV guy in general. You're out planting food plots.
No, I've never really been a South Park guy at all. Like, this sounds crazy, but growing up, we didn't ever have TV.
Well, how old are you?
Just turned 37.
Well, come on, Adam. In the last 15 years, you could have at least turned the TV on once to see South Park.
Right. I actually, so my wife and I just built a new house about 1.5 years ago, and we just got Dish Network. Like, we've never had it before, so
Wow.
We've actually got TV now. Not that I ever really watch it, but every once in a while I do sit down and watch TV.
So you're telling
I've
us
never
you've been
watched South Park.
abusing your wife for 1.5 years.
Right. Right.
Because you have one child with one on the way? No, you guys just had another one, didn't you? What am I
Yeah,
thinking?
we've got 2. We've got a boy that's 3.5. He'll be 4 in February. And then we just had a girl, 7 weeks ago.
Yeah,
So-
congratulations. So you can't go without TV with a 3 or 4-year-old. That's
Oh yeah, no, and that's he watches that thing. It's on all the time, He's either playing with his tractors or doing something like that, or watching TV.
I will say I enjoy watching, like, on social media. You always got him out there with you. He's helping you check the trail cameras. He's driving the tracker. He's in the he's in the cab with you on the tractor. Like, you got him involved in every daily way that you can. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
But you
man, I'm
living
really
the life.
blessed in that side of it, just because he wants to be with me all the time. Like, it don't matter, like you said, if I'm out checking cameras or if I'm out planting or just working on the farm in general. Like, he wants to be right there in the skid loader or the tractor or whatever with me, and I couldn't, that just makes me happy, because I hope one day that it's going to continue with him, and one day he can be doing what I'm doing. So
Oh yeah, I'm sure soon. He's gonna want to go on the hunts with you and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
the fun stuff.
he's going to hunt a lot with me this fall in the box blinds. So
The best is when they get old enough to start giving you advice.
Or filming you.
yeah,
Hey.
that's what I'm thinking. I'm going to teach him to run a camera right now.
Yeah.
Cameraman.
I mean,
in
put it
training.
on a tripod. All he really has to do is make sure it's recorded. I mean,
Yep.
that's anything a child could do. Matt.
I got the joke. I think Matt got the joke.
All right.
Mr. Subtlety. Mr. 5 stars and subtlety.
Yeah, nothing subtle about
and
it.
he's the brittle boy.
Somebody said that on the Rack Pack, didn't they? Or they
Yeah,
called
yeah.
me that, the brittle boy.
It kind of sounds like you have some kind of illness.
Like the Bubble Boy on Seinfeld.
He's got soft teeth and his bones are very
There's a
brittle.
fire at the Bubble Boy's house.
Bubble Boy was a jackass.
He was mean.
Yeah. But if you grew up in a bubble, what do you expect?
Yeah. Adam wouldn't know that reference because he didn't grow up with a TV.
No.
It's
No.
a Seinfeld reference. So we'll move on.
Sometimes I feel like I missed out on a lot of things, but
Oh,
it's
you
all right.
didn't.
Yeah, you actually were productive.
You lived a life, actually. That was outdoors. Pretty solid. All right,
Right.
so Adam, I'm sure you're well aware of this because I'm sure you listen to every single episode of the 100% Wild podcast as you're planting your food plots. But every week at the end, we talk about the newest Rack Pack members. The Rack Pack is a private Facebook page that we started, and you basically got to answer a couple stupid questions to
There's
get
an
into
initiation process.
Yep.
You got to kill someone.
Yeah, and you got to answer these questions on top of that. And then every week I read off these names that Tim put on a piece of paper. Every week he puts a fake name in there. Every week I butcher all the names, fake and real.
Simple
So-
names, too.
Yeah. Mark Gabriel.
Is that a long A or a short A? What is that? Come on, Mark.
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 So, all right, so we got Mark Gabriel, Dustin Secor, Gabe Rubel, Rubel,
Gabe.
Selena, Selenium. I got it.
Well,
it.
let's continue on. 'cause
That's
there could
got to be the fake name. Because first of all, no girl is just joining the podcast unless she's got a girl and a boy name in that. We've established that. It's always a girl and a boy name together. Like there's a couple,
A
somebody
joint
did something
Facebook
wrong.
account.
the joint
Just to be
Facebook
safe.
account. Yeah. All right. And moving on. Every time I bring that up, I get a lot of crap about it on the Rack Pack. Like people don't like when you make fun of the joint.
I'm
the
fine with it.
account.
I'll make fun of it.
Because we're men. We have our own accounts.
That's right. We're big boys. Thank you.
And I'm a big boy. Okay, we got Tristan Ostrom. I'm going with Ostrom.
Okay.
How would you pronounce it?
I'd probably say Ostrom.
Jaden Reed. Jaden Reed.
You're saying it like a question.
I say all these like a question. Paul Gamma?
I'm Ron Burgundy.
Paul Gamma sounds like a superhero. Like
It's cool.
Our
Gamma
villain.
ray.
Paul Gamma. Oh, Gamma.
Paul Gamma Ray fell into a vat of gamma rays.
That's right. And that's this week's Rack Pack. So, hey, Alan, how many members do we got? Wake up. How many members do we have? How many members do we have in the Rack Pack? I thought you got this answer a while ago when I asked.
This is knowable information.
976. Come on, Rack Packers. Help us get to 1,000. Adam, if you're not in here, are you in the Rack Pack?
No,
You son of
no, I'm
a...
not.
So, Tim and I purposely have not invited the team members into the Rack Pack because I want to see who's in there and who's not on their own accord. You, sir, get an F.
Oh, he failed the podcast.
I need to get in there.
I just wrote an F on this here piece of paper. That means nothing to you, but it means a lot to Tim and I. Well, let me tell you, you're missing out on a lot of shenanigans.
Yeah, we
Yep.
posted a video from the farm on Friday.
Yeah.
Up in there.
Yeah. Shortly after that, I almost hit a tree with my arrow.
Whoops. That's right.
But
yeah,
I didn't. It was gut shot.
Yeah, that arrow sunk low.
Would have killed him. Just had to back out. Give him a few hours.
I had just got done eating some. What was I eating? It was brats, and I was afraid that the grease on my hands was gonna let my handheld release fly, and
Oh, you shoot a handheld release.
I'm
Think you're better than us.
yeah, lording it over everybody.
Let me tell you something. Alan, that pulled pork, the pork shoulder that he smoked.
I regret missing that.
We had this Cabela smoker there. How many hours was that rolling? 10 hours. It was unbelievably good. And that deer queso, we actually used a variation of Taylor's Killing the Kitchen recipe that's on the Drury Outdoors Instagram page. It was so good, man. And later that night, I saw Ben. I mean, he's not intern Ben, but he's new guy Ben.
Yeah.
The guy that
NGB.
ran over the whole box of clays. This dude literally, we hadn't shot any. He backs up over an entire box of clays and shatters all of them. Luckily, we had a second box.
Run them over.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're going to see that on a reel here shortly on the Drury
Yeah,
Outdoors
we'll
page.
have to make sure it makes
But
its way to the
late
Facebook
that
page.
night, I'm not saying that Ben was hungry for any other reason than he had a long day, but he was just chowing down on that queso, and I'm thinking, like, this has got to be hard as a rock. Like,
Is he like digging into it with a spoon?
digging on it. I mean, after the initial, like, on the
melt?
grill,
Yeah.
I was out after that. Too many hands. Too
Yeah.
many hands inside the old queso. I don't know where those fingers have been. People were catching catfish and
Yeah. The sanitation was
yeah, it's not like we had
questionable.
soap just about out and
Soap.
about.
Who needs soap? All right. Well, Adam, we look forward to following your season this year with your new properties, and hopefully there's some good big surprises walking around those woods for you.
Huge.
Well, thank you. I sure hope so.
Heck yeah.
Well, I'd say that about does it for us
We
today.
really should. We should remind people next week's show is episode number 278.
I'm replaying this whole thing in my mind. Adam, at the beginning, said he's been looking forward to doing this for a long time, but I don't believe that you listen to this podcast, sir.
Maybe that's why.
I've listened to a few.
Oh, I think he's full of crap.
Maybe he was waiting to get on the show before he could fully endorse
Yeah.
it by giving us his listens.
Let this
I don't
be a
know what-
lesson to future Drury Outdoors team members that come on this here podcast. We're going to call you out.
Yeah.
If you're not a Rack Pack member and if you don't listen to this podcast, get the hell out of here.
We know the IP addresses of everyone who listens to this show, and we
I'm
will
going to
cross
become a
lines.
member, I guess, now. So, yeah, I
Adam,
need to.
I know you're probably going to go back and listen to this because that's just the ego side of what we do. We want to hear the one we're on. But you should go back and listen to the one before it because that's where all the fun and games happened. And then just work your way up. From here on, you can start last week's episode and go from there.
Perfect. I will do it.
Just don't expect to learn anything.
No.
Just a good time.
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
we're also we should tell people that we're working on a little something. It's an experiment. We may
Tell me more.
do some experimenting with having podcast fans on the show.
There's
We
a
might.
big asterisk by May.
There's probably going to be a tryout process.
Yeah, you can't suck on camera. Like, you can't just get on here and be like, we ask a question and it's like, yes, no, hi.
Could I phone a friend,
Like,
please?
we struggle enough to have one of these episodes get through from start to finish. We
Yes.
don't need to carry more dead weight.
Yes. So
We carry each other, for Pete's sakes.
we need help really badly. So it may be something that we do. So be looking in the rack pack for some opportunities to maybe audition to be a guest on the show.
So I thought you were going to deep tease the fact that we're now testing out a feature inside DeerCast as we speak, as of today, fresh off the press.
Fresh off the griddle.
It's called Test Flight, the little beta version we use. We now have, I don't know if I'm on, which camera I'm on. We now have, dun, dun, dun.
Sharing.
Well, no, that's not what I'm going to say because
No.
we don't have that, Tim. We're working on that.
I know
That's
what you're
the
gonna
release
say.
after that. That might be next week.
I just really deep teased it.
Aren't you the editor-in-chief of DeerCast? You know this. All right. We have colors now for all the areas and food plots and all that stuff. So it was just like the DeerCast color for the outline
Yep.
and kind of the area color. But now we have a color palette. So you could change
Pick
all
'em.
those different colors around. And let me tell you, I didn't realize I needed this in my life until I'm switched all my food plots and all my colors around. It's nice to
Virtual
have.
rainbow of a property now.
That's right. So I'm just saying that's going to be coming. This podcast will come out tomorrow, Wednesday the 3rd. This release might be end of the week or early next week. And then shortly after that, the sharing of waypoints and rain stations and food plots and all that stuff will be coming down the pipeline. We haven't got to the testing of that yet, but it is
just gets
almost
better
done.
and better.
That's right. By the time the fall hits, and we actually added a couple more waypoints too. There's stuff for like bulbs. There's stuff for wheat, corn. Like we just had clover before.
Yeah, we're just going to continue to update that waypoint library.
As we go.
Or is it library?
That's how my son forever, like, he's in second grade, but as kindergarten first, he's like, I had library today.
I love that.
Yeah, my
Yes.
wife and her are always like, what'd you have? It's
Say it
just
again.
funny to hear it.
Yeah.
Library?
Yeah, Bo can't say remember. He says be member.
Yeah.
Be member we went to the mall?
Yeah. That's cute.
Yeah.
All right. Now, once we start talking about our kids, that's when you got to that's when we got to end the podcast.
Yeah, because Adam can chime in and so,
Well,
yeah,
officially,
let's-
no one cares at that point. Nobody wants to hear about your kids. My kids, your kids, his kids. Nobody
Do
cares.
tell. All right, gang. Well, thanks for tuning in this week. We appreciate it.
All right. Thanks, Adam. We appreciate you jumping on. Hey,
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
where
It's been
can
fun.
people find your business and your Instagram handle and all that good stuff?
Yep. So I've got a Facebook page. It's called Northwest Missouri Land Management. I just started it up here 2 or 3 weeks ago. But I do have a skid loader. I'm going to have a rotary mulcher. I've got tree pullers. Like, my main focus is going to be going to people's properties and clearing brush, to plant food plots or trying to get CRP back into, CRP programs or whatever, but I've already got a lot of work lined up. So it's looking like it's going to be a good, another good gig. I'm pretty excited about it.
So I need to know, will you go to Iowa or Illinois or these other
Yeah,
states?
I've actually got some stuff I've got scheduled in Southern Iowa right now. So,
Because your name makes it sound like you're being statist about the
True,
other
I didn't think
states.
about that.
Will you go to Kansas? These are the questions I need answers to.
I will travel. I got a place out. One of my buddies out in Illinois, Western Illinois. He's want me to come out there and spend a couple days doing some clearing out there. So I will travel. For the most part, I'm an hour and a half northeast of Kansas City. I'm going to try to stay within an hour, roughly hour and a half tops, especially with fuel prices and stuff right now. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. Well, we appreciate you giving the info out, and good luck. I think you probably have, like you said, you got a lot of work already, but you're probably going to have a ton of work after this podcast because it's so popular.
I hope so. Yeah.
I will link up your Facebook page in the show notes if folks want to check you out.
Okay. Well, thank you guys so much for having me. It's been a blast.
Yeah, and we just need a small finder's fee for any clients that come through. If anybody's listening to this and they're going to use Adam's business, you at least need to tell them you heard about it on the podcast.
Yeah.
And Adam, just relay that. I'm not saying you got to pay us money or bribe us to keep talking about your business. But if you wanted to.
Come rip out some trees for us.
Yeah, I mean, I would take payment in the form of you planting all of our food plots. Scott just raised his hand.
Scott.
The guy that this really matters. All right, man. Well, good luck with everything this fall. Yeah.
Same here.
Appreciate you. Till next time.
See ya.
Peace
Bye-bye.
out.
DeerCast is now supercharged with maps. Get ahead of your game with killer new features like live Doppler radar, wind check out to 5 days, virtual rain gauges, GPS path tracking, and more. Plus, get our 14-day revolutionary DeerCast prediction and access to DeerCast Track. Prep, predict, and pursue with DeerCast.
We're adding new videos every week, so make sure to click that subscribe button and check out all of our amazing content. This episode of DOD TV was brought to you by Bass Pro Shops and Cabela's.